What if your Godot game is lagging? Because you use Godot like everyone else. That sounds wrong, but sometimes the problem is not your shader, not your physics, not even your gameplay code. Sometimes the problem is the scene tree. So in this video, I asked Codex and Fennara to build the same heavy card screen two different ways. One version uses normal Godot nodes, the other skips most of that layer and draws directly with RenderingServer. Same visuals, same card count, completely different engine path. Normally in Godot, you build scenes out of nodes, and those nodes eventually talk to lower level engine systems for you, so a sprite 2D, a label, or a panel is convenient. But it is still an object in the scene tree. That is fine for normal gameplay. But if you suddenly create hundreds of complex UI objects at once, the cost of all those nodes can become visible. So the test is simple. Can we build the same fantasy card gallery twice? Once with real card scenes full of UI nodes, and once with lightweight wrappers that draw the card visuals through RenderingServer RIDs? So Codex built us this educational benchmark scene. On the surface, it just looks like a dark fantasy card gallery, but underneath it has two completely different rendering modes. Press 1 and it rebuilds the gallery using normal Godot card scenes. Press 2 and it rebuilds the same gallery using RenderingServer RIDs, and the HUD tracks the important stuff: card count, node count, rebuild time, FPS, frame time, and visual R ID count. And here are the numbers. At 150 cards, node mode creates 5,802 nodes. The rebuild takes about 1500 milliseconds. At 250 cards, it gets worse. 9,602 nodes, over 2 seconds to rebuild. And the frame rate drops to around 29 FPS. Now switch to RenderingServer mode. Same 250 cards, but now the scene only has 352 nodes. The rebuild drops to about 293 milliseconds, and the FPS goes back up to around 58. So, the lesson is not never use nodes. Nodes are amazing. They are the reason Godot is so nice to work with. But when you need hundreds of repeated visual objects, sometimes the scene tree itself becomes the bottleneck. And that is when Godot's lower level systems, like RenderingServer, become really interesting. This is also exactly why Fennara matters. Codex was not just writing random code, it was building, running, checking Godot errors, and iterating inside the real project. If you want to try Fennara, all the links are in the description and the pinned comment.